It's a 30 amp disconnect for the AC unit that's going outside. Not a whole lot of parts to these. It's a weatherproof box. The disconnect itself just pops out and then pops back in. There's a cover on the inside that covers the electrical connections. That just pops out. And I have 3 wires coming in from the panel, and there'll be 3 wires going out to the unit. Coming in, I'll have a hot wire on the left and a hot wire on the right and a ground wire. And then the other 3 connections they'll make when they set the unit. The PVC fittings, this one has threads on it. There's a knockout on the box, and then there's a nut that goes on the inside that holds that tight. And I got the long 90s just to make it easy to push. It's easier to push wire through that. And then for the hard 90 where it goes through the house, I got these, which makes it a heck of a lot easier. And I got PVC strap clamps for the pipe outside. I like those better because they don't rust like the metal ones. And then this calls for number 10 wire. So I got a green ground and a black and red hot wire that I'll fish through this conduit a little bit later. Most of those boxes will come with some kind of instructions or directions or whatnot. I'm mounting everything to the brick outside. So I got my hammer drill and some Tapcons. Most of those Tapcons, the bigger boxes, will have a bit with them. And then at the panel, I already have my hole drilled through the house and through the brick to the outside. And then I'll hook up these fittings. I'm going to work the conduit from the outside in. So I'll get all that hooked up, and then last I'll put the breaker in. Regular PVC cement for the connections outside. And then when you drill in your brick, try to drill from the outside and the inside. If you drill strictly from the inside, you'll get blowout. I did both, and I still got a little bit of blowout, but it's not too bad. And then the straps, I always aim for the mortar joints. They're just a lot easier to drill. And then when you put your Tapcons in, just snug them up till it's snug. Don't torque on them, over tighten them, because you'll strip it. And then same with the box. I aim for the mortar joint. I'll get that hooked up and then work my conduit from the outside in. So on the inside, I got this last little piece of pipe marked to cut for this fitting. And then I'll cut the bell off of that side of that fitting and hook up one of those threaded fittings right there for the to hook to the box. And then I just aimed for the closest one, which ends up being that second knockout there. He wins, I guess. So after all that gets straightened out, I'm going to spray some foam in that big giant hole, and then we'll clean that off real good. Just keep the bugs and the wind and everything out of there. And on the outside, I left those 2 fittings unglued so it just makes it easier to pull the wire. So I'll pull all the slack out of this wire and pull my fittings closer together, and then I'll glue it. It just makes it a lot easier than trying to push through all those 90s. A little bit of glue, and then squish it in there. That hardens pretty fast, and wipe it off if you need to. And then I'll get my last few straps on, and then pushing the wire through the house. You can see how these hard 90s, it's easier to pull it all through one side and then fish it all through the other side, and then get your covers on nice and tight. And then I put some exterior silicone on there. This stuff's a little more expensive, but it seems to work a lot better than regular silicone. And then I'll get my last few straps on, getting those tightened down, and then we'll finish the connections in the disconnect box. I got them terminated there, and then the disconnect itself slides in to connect. There's actually an on and off on there. If you pull it out and turn it over, it's actually unconnected, but I'm just going to leave it hooked up, and we'll get the covers on, get everything covered up so we can get ready for them to set the unit. everything's not hot from here to the panel. The only thing that's hot is in the panel itself. If you're not comfortable in the panel, don't get in the panel. Have your crazy Uncle Bob do it, or call a professional. So yeah, hope that helps.